Comedy is kind of in a cocked hat at the moment. There's a lot of backlash to many of the right-wing comics out there who did everything they could to cup the balls and stroke the shaft of Donald Trump while he was running for president last year. And now many of them are starting to trying to back away, do that whole Homer Simpson meme where he backs into the shrub and pretend like, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe Donald Trump wasn't quite the bet that we thought he was, or, we were just having fun. We were just joking and laughing about it. And also here recently, there was a comedy festival in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and the who's who of all these comedians went out there. Now, there were quite a few of them that were principled enough not to go to Saudi Arabia, who is actively doing a genocide in Yemen, and they also cut off people's hands for thievery and chop off people's heads, and they chopped up Jamal Khashoggi, and let's not forget 9/11. So many people were upset and they were up in arms about it, but there were quite a few comedians that went on to do that Riyadh Comedy Festival because they were offering such a big bag. Saudi Arabia also did the same thing with golf, where they did the Live Golf Tournament, where they offered buckets of money, like hundreds of millions of dollars, to top professionals in the sport to help sports wash and do propaganda for their country. And now they're doing it with comedy. I did a episode on this on Tim Dillon, how he said that he was just going to look the other way, and because they're offering me $375,000, to do like a 20-minute set at Riyadh, and I'm not going to pass that up. And if somebody says to me, hey, they do human rights violations and they chopped up a reporter, I'm just going to, ignore it because they're paying me lots of money to sell my soul. Now, there were a handful of them that I can absolutely see them selling out, and didn't really think one way or the other about it. But one of them really did upset me, and it happened to be Bill Burr. We'll get to that in a minute, but I wanted to give you just kind of a lay of the land here with this little short video. It's pretty good.
That is good. I admire that.
Then they doubled the bag, and I was like, but I'd already said no. I took a principled stand.
Yeah, against Saudi Arabia.
I mean, how do you even promote that?
I've been getting a little bit of flack.
Yeah, Mark Maron said, sponsored by the country that did 9/11. How do you sell that?
Just because, my dad died 9/11. So
yeah, Pete Davidson's dad died in 9/11. I believe his dad was a firefighter, and he died. He was one of the 343 firefighters that died on that day. And now he is going to Riyadh to do comedy to make money, to help them wash their reputation. Look, Pete Davidson is Pete Davidson. He's not the brightest bulb in the box, and he's not really the funniest guy, but for him to do that it leaves a bad taste,
They're like, how could you possibly go there?
In the world of comedy and controversy,
an amazing show, an amazing.
Now, Kevin Hart, I would be upset about him, but hasn't been funny in years, and he's a sellout, man. So is Dave Chappelle, for that matter, especially the fact that he hates the trans folk as much as J.K. Rowling does, and especially considering these days how the government seems to be going after the marginalized trans community. Makes me not like you that much either.
Proud.
Tonight, some big comics drawing a line in the sand and blasting some big names scheduled to perform at the ongoing Riyadh Comedy Festival put on by Saudi Arabia. The bill reads like the who's who of comedy, the likes of Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, Aziz Ansari, Pete Davidson, and Louis CK. And on the podcast circuit, some comedians are talking about how much they say they're being paid.
They're paying me $375,000 for one.
There's Tim Dillon. I was just talking about that. By the way, this podcast got his ass in trouble, so they cut him off the bill, but he still got paid half of the money. He'd already got half the money up front, so he kept that money. And now he's going, well, I was making fun of them on the podcast because I have principles. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. I saw the whole podcast. I saw the damn thing. You were willing to sell your soul for a big fat bag. And now the fact that you didn't get to go to Riyadh, now you're using that as an excuse to say, oh, well, see, I was being principled and I was making fun of them. Fuck you, man.
One show. Now, a lot of other people are getting 1.6 million.
But with the money comes censorship rules. Otsko Okatska saying she declined the invitation and posted a screenshot of stipulations. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the royal family, and any religion are off limits.
So basically everything. You can't talk politics, you can't talk about the leadership, and you can't talk about religion. I mean, that's like half of comedy right there. What are you going to go up there, talk about dick and fart jokes? Is that what these guys are going to be doing at the Riyadh Comedy Festival?
NBC News reached out to Saudi event organizers but have not heard back to independently confirm the rules. Tim Dillon joking about Saudi Arabia on his own podcast.
I was fired from the Riyadh Comedy Festival.
Aww.
My agent called me and he said they heard what you said about them having slaves.
Human Rights Watch says the watchdog organization has documented a soaring surge in executions this year and human rights violations.
The Riyadh Comedy Festival is part of Mohammed bin Salman's deliberate strategy to deflect attention from the reality of the human rights crisis in Saudi Arabia.
The festival coinciding with the 7th anniversary this month of the assassination of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi.
Yeah, that's pretty dark. It's literally on the anniversary of his death, where they snatched him off the street, they took him inside the Saudi embassy, and they chopped him up into little pieces. And I remember when they asked Donald Trump about that, he's like, well, what do you want me to do? I mean, they bought like $8 billion worth of weapons from me. I think they're pretty good guys. And he just went over there. It's like, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was Donald Trump's first trip abroad, was to go to Saudi Arabia and get a big bear hug from Mohammed bin Salman. Anyway, to continue on that vein, I wanted to talk about Bill Burr a little bit. Bill Burr is doing everything. It's not just him. It was also Louis CK. They're doing everything they can to try to justify the fact that they sold out. I don't know how much Bill Burr got. He's a big comedian. He was probably on the higher side. He probably got more money than Tim Dillon did. He probably got the $1.6 million. Dave Chappelle was the headliner, so you know he got his 1.6. And Kevin Hart, he's pretty high up there too. But a lot of these people were selling out for even less than that, getting like $150,000. That's how much it costs to sell your soul. Hell, Tim Dillon has got Tim Dillon podcast money. He does his own comedy tours. He makes money. He didn't have to go do this. And neither does Bill Burr. Bill Burr could do a handful of shows and make $1.5 million. He could just do like 5-10 shows and make that much money. But still he does it. And this one's the one that burns me the most, because Bill Burr has been pretty good lately, talking about one of the biggest issues that America has right now is wealth inequality and the billionaire class basically ruling over us. And he's been tearing into billionaires lately and the rulers, the ones that rule over us. And now here he is selling out to Saudi Arabia.
So that was the friendly. Now we're going to Saudi Arabia. And Josh is going like, dude, I feel good now. I feel good. And I'm going, I don't know, man. I'm fucking nervous about this one. This is like, we're in the shit here. Like, they have never had a comedy festival, and I don't know what's going to happen here. And like, my whole fucking idea of Saudi Arabia is what I've seen like on the news. I literally think I'm going to fucking land, and everybody's going to be screaming, death to America. And they're going to have like fucking machetes and want to like chop my head off, right? Because this is what I've been fed about that part of the world, right? And we're flying over it. It's nothing but like these long roads and sand. It's like nothing. And I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck did I get myself into? And then we land. And now here we are, right? And we end up driving into town. It's a city, everything, right? And everybody's just regular. They're dressed different, but they're regular.
Yeah, I'm sure you didn't see any regular women out there because they're all in hijabs and they don't talk and they're not allowed to talk. They are third-class citizens. The man, the child, the woman at the bottom. And you better not show any wrist or ankle, or else some Saudi person might feel like he's a little offended and rape you. And then it's your fault because you showed too much ankle. We're talking about a place that has slaves. We're talking about a place who does genocide. We're talking about a place who does public executions in the public square. But, oh yeah, they're just regular, man. Why don't you tell me about all the fast food places that they have?
Like people just shooting the shit. Hey, how you doing? You know, welcome. We're saying, hey, we're happy to be here. And we're driving around, and then I'm just like going like, I thought this place was going to be like really tense. And I'm thinking like, is that a Starbucks? Next to a Pete's Coffee? Next to a Burger King? Next to a McDonald's? Next to a Pizza Hut?
Oh, they're just like us, man. They eat fast food just like us. Everything is cool, man. I'm just going to go over there and I'm going to use my comedy stylings to make them more like us. That's what I'm doing this for. I'm not doing this for a big fat bag. I'm going over there to help spread democracy seeds and, say some stuff to make them more like us. No, honey, you don't do that. You're not going to go over there and convince them to change their ways with comedy. You wait for them to get rid of their slavery. You wait for them to get rid of their public torture and executions and genocide. And then you go over there. They need to prove themselves to the rest of us. You don't have to go over there and prove yourself to them. Jesus Christ, man. Seriously, this is how he is self-soothing. You hear his nervous little chuckle. He's doing everything he can to try to, it's no big deal. I'm just going over there, just spreading a little comedy. They're regular folk, man. They're, hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? You want some McDonald's, some Starbucks?
Next to a Dunkin' Donuts, next to a Krispy Kreme, next to a Cheesecake Factory, next to a KFC, next to a Chili's. They got a fucking Chili's over here. Then we go into the mall because I want to get my kids something. There was a Timberland store. I could have bought Timberlands like I was in Brooklyn, New York.
But you're not in Brooklyn.
And then there's advertisement for like boxing and fucking Formula One and MotoGP and golf and all of this stuff. And
yeah, because they're sports washing and they bought all of those people too because they have all the money in the world. They have all of the oil money in the world. And of course, there's 5,000 royal family members, and then everybody else is living in poverty and slavery. Yeah, they're just like us, man.
And then it just struck me as funny. It's like, they're eating this shit too. They're going to have to get some bigger fucking clothes. They're going to end up looking like us. So, I go down to do the show, right? And they say, all right, the front 2 rows is going to be all diplomats in these padded seats. And then up top, the royals are going to be there. And it was like in the round and everything. And everyone was like ridiculously excited that there was going to be stand-up comedy there. And this is what's amazing about the arts and stand-up comedy is comedians have always pushed like the boundaries. And this was like a classic case. Like, I guess this is tipping the cap to the people.
Yeah, the boundaries, except for you can't make fun of the royals, you can't make fun of leadership, you can't make fun of anything that they do, the slavery or what have you, and you can't make fun of religion at all. So dick and fart jokes, I guess.
That set up the festival over there. When they first went to set it up over there, the rules on what they had about what you could say and what you couldn't say in Saudi Arabia, the people running the festivals will be like, all right, well, man, that's game, set, match. If this is like all you can talk about and you want some good comedians, like this isn't going to work. And then to their credit, they said, all right, what do we got to do? And they just negotiated it all the way down to like, you can talk about anything, other than a couple things, which was basically, religion, don't make fun of the royals. And other than that, it was everything was like,
yeah, you could talk about anything you want except for the things that most of the time comedians talk about. Yeah, man, there's just a couple of things. Jesus Christ, man. Just negotiating free speech. You went to another country and gave up your free speech for a big sack of cash. Like I said, I wasn't upset about Dave Chappelle or Kevin Hart or Tim Dillon or, I don't think that actually Andrew Schultz did go, and Andrew Schultz was one of those that gave Donald Trump a grease down and a fucking shiatsu massage. So he is morally flexible. Obviously, he's morally flexible enough to go to the Riyadh Comedy Festival. But Bill Burr did not have Donald Trump on his Monday morning podcast. And he seemed to have principles in that regard. But he's showing us and the rest of the world that not that big a deal. I'm just out there taking a little bit of money.
Anyway, I go in. It's this beautiful venue. It's in the fucking round. And they're playing Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I've never been I was always into metal or whatever. And they were playing that song, Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. And I don't know, for the first time in my life, I connected with that song. Probably because I was so fucking nervous about, what is going to happen when I go out there and I do my shit. Everybody's like, no, just do
the fact that you are concerning yourself with what is going to happen to me if I say something is off color. Are they going to kill me too? Should have been the very first thing on your mind when you were asked to do this comedy show. You should have been like, no, why would I go there? Why would I sell my soul for a little bit of money? $1.5 million is a lot of money to the rest of us, but this guy's already a millionaire. He's already got more money than Croesus. He doesn't need to do this, but yet he did. And to me, that was the one that hurt my feelings, personally. That one upset me because I thought that, look, nobody's perfect. I get that. Everybody has got feet of clay and they're prone to error, but that's a big one. This is a big one. This is, I don't have principles. I'm getting paid. Yeah, I know they got slaves and, they execute people for blasphemy and saying something against religion. They just kill you, chop your head off. Yeah, I know that, but I'm getting paid. It's pretty depressing. And the fact that he's out there trying his best to defend his decision to do it and by saying, oh, well, they're just like the rest of us and they're just regular old people and I'm out there spreading comedy, and maybe my comedy is going to change their mind. It is not. It's fucking not. You're just making excuses. You're doing everything you can to self-soothe for your absolute colossal mistake. And all the backlash that you're getting from this shit, you fucking deserve it, man. You all deserve it. Anyway, Bill Burr, that's the one that hurts me the most. And the rest of them, I just assume that they're all assholes anyway. But I thought a little bit higher of Bill Burr. I guess that's on me. It's probably my fault for thinking so highly of Bill Burr. And I should take it in stride and realize that all of these guys are assholes and anybody can be bought. I tell you this, though. If somebody offered me $1.5 million to spread some bullshit propaganda, whether it be for Israel or Saudi Arabia, I'd tell them to go suck a big bag of dicks. Anyway, that's the show for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you wouldn't mind, please liking and subscribing. It really helps me out in the algorithm. And I'll sing your praises and I will dance at your wedding. Hope you have a wonderful day and I will talk to you later. You have a good one. Bye-bye. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.